Today, I'm joined by a Connecticut legend, an artist, a producer, the man himself, Apathy. Welcome to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast, dude.
What's up, man? I feel like we need to touch gloves or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude. Bro, I've been wanting to do this podcast since I started a podcast because I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off because I have one question that has like been irking me, bothering me this whole time.
Right.
Well, it's a theory. It's a Squires theory. It's that Apathy, like Justin Bieber, does not exist without Apathy. And you're probably like, how is that the case?
Yeah,
dude?
I'm not seeing that.
But I'm seeing it too because I did some Squires math. Because now I know that you produced I Love College.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, co-produced it, right.
That song doesn't exist without you. That's
Right.
Scooter Bond.
Well, it doesn't, I don't want to misrepresent right away. Like, I know that's a funny take, but it wouldn't sound like what it sounds like without me because he may have still used that sample, but I was responsible for the drums and a lot of the programming.
Well, the point my theory, and then I want to get into like the truth of it, but you know, Scooter Braun credits I Love College for funding Bieber's early career. He says the first flight that he took to go meet Bieber was funded because of I Love College.
Oh, word.
So I'm like, yo, if that song doesn't exist in the way that it does, you know what I mean? Who's to say it would have ever got popular and made money? So therefore, Apathy is responsible for Justin Bieber, dude.
That's wild. That's a funny thing. That's a hilarious thing.
Yeah, but you know, I want to get.
I'm gonna put that in my bio. Gave birth to Bieber,
bro. It's I was thinking that on the way here. Like I was like, that's something I would put in my Instagram. Rapper, producer, birth to Justin Bieber, dude. Bro, I literally thought that on the way here. That's like a good bio thing. Thank you for tuning in to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. You can support by subscribing on YouTube or downloading on your preferred podcast platform. And definitely go do that because it helps us grow and I can have more incredible guests on the podcast. The Mike Squires and Friends podcast is proudly sponsored by Dro Kid. Looking to broaden your musical horizons as an artist? Discover Dro Kid. With its smooth and rewarding music distribution platform, Dro Kid offers unlimited uploads while ensuring artists retain 100% of their royalties and earnings. Join the community of over 1 million artists who trust Dro Kid to distribute their music across major platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, and so many others. Having personally used Dro Kid since 2018, I can attest to their superiority amongst distribution services. Collaborating with fellow artists has become effortless, especially with the ability to easily send splits of songs, streamlining the creative process. With the Dro Kid app, accessing these benefits is now more convenient than ever. Safely sign up or log in with 2-factor authentication, upload releases on the fly, monitor earnings, and withdraw funds from your Dro Kid bank. Stay updated on royalties through push notifications, effortlessly share hyperfollow links, manage account details seamlessly, and track streaming stats from Spotify and Apple. Additionally, explore Mixia for professional grade mastering, DistroVid for music video distribution, and Instant Share for secure file sharing with collaborators, producers, and more. The DistroKid app is available on both iOS and Android. Download it today from the App Store or Google Play Store to revolutionize your music career. Visit distrokid.com/VIP/Mike Squires to get 30% off your first year membership. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Mike Squires and Friends. But so then how does the record come to be and all that?
The I Love College record?
Yeah.
So I was signed with Atlantic Records, and at the time I was out in LA at the house of my A&R, which is artist and repertoire, Mike Karen. Mike Karen had a production team called the Tailgaters. And Mike had the Weezer loop looped up, and it had these big rock drums over it. And me and Mike both agreed, we're like, yo, this needs hip hop on it. So Mike has this house in the Hollywood Hills, and there's the normal part of the house, which is his part. Then there's this weird little bridge to the studio section, which has tons of records in it. So Mike has boxes and boxes of records, and I'm going through there and I'm looking for break beats, but there's not really break beats in there. But there was MC Light 10% Diss, which has the break beat, and then it has the build up, hot damn, because it goes from MC Light, hot damn, ho, here we go again. So I was like, yo, let's use this break. So Mike looped up the break, and that break was my idea to bring in that, and then we threw that on there, and that was my record. I started recording to that record, and it originally had the Weezer hook on it, the Say It Ain't So. which I loved back in the day. I loved that Weezer record. I loved all Weezer's joints, Buddy Holly, all that, you know. But that had that on there, the say it ain't so, all that, but that was my record. That was my joint. And then I did the work on that, and then years later, I remember being out in LA, this is years later, and I hear the record on satellite radio, and I'm out in LA. So I call Mike, and Mike and I didn't have the best relationship. So I call Mike, and Mike answers the phone. He's like, hello? And I was like, yo, what's up, man? It's App. He's like, oh, what's up, bro? What's going on? It was a Saturday, right? I said, yo, what am I hearing right now? I'm hearing this record that we did on the radio. I don't know anything about this. It's my fault. I didn't do any splits or anything with him. There's no record of it, whatever. But, oh, my bad.
No, you're good, dude. You're good.
Whap. But at any rate, Mike goes very like, and Mike and I had a long relationship of doing stuff, right? And Mike was like, you know, it's like your A&R sometimes is like your boss a little bit. And we did so much work, but Mike like real coldly goes, what's up, man? And I tell him, and he goes, yeah, I don't know, man. Call me in the office on Monday. And I'm like, it hangs up in my ear.
Dang,
and I'm
dude.
like, yo.
How are you feeling after that, dude? Like,
I'm a different person now, but I was upset at the time. You know, I'll say that much.
Yeah.
But Mike, yeah, he definitely upset me with that one.
yeah, dude. Well, I bring it up too because, I mean, a less popular. So just to make it clear, I'm putting it on. Justin Bieber doesn't exist without Apathy. I'm just putting that out there. That's a Mike Squires fact. I don't care.
That's a Mike Squires
Yeah, I'm locking
take,
that
yeah,
in,
in the
dude.
Mike Squires universe.
And to me, it's true, dude. But also, my first music video I ever did was a fan video to I Love College. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So it's like there's also a world where like my music video career doesn't even start without that song, dude.
That's
So
weird.
that's why I wanted to bring it up too. You know what I mean?
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right?
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Right.
But, you know, so I know you had like a journey with Atlantic, to say the least, because,
Yeah.
you know, like I Love College, I saw like another interview where you're talking like those are the kind of records they wanted you to make, basically like kind of frat rap while you were on them, but that like wasn't you.
Right. Like the thing about that is that, you know, I grew up in a very challenging area, and I grew up in a very challenging family dynamic. My parents were teens when they had me. My whole family was poor. You know, I didn't grow up with anything like that. And then the area that I grew up with, and the people who I was around, and also issues that I had, like, you know, ADD back in the day, and all these challenging things. The point is, I didn't even graduate high school. So it's not like I was like taking off to college and living this sweet suburban life where
It wouldn't have been authentic for you to do what they were asking.
Oh, bro, here's the other thing too, is that when I grew up, my father taught pistol courses, and I knew a lot of gun stuff, right? Because my father always had guns everywhere. He would teach pistol courses and all that. So I grew up around it. I didn't grow up around some gangster street shit, but I grew up around, you know, pistols. So I would rap about gun stuff because I know what I'm talking about. And so Mike was like, hey man, you got to cut it out with all the, you know, the gun references and this and that. And he goes, and you got to start rapping about college and beer pong and all these different things. And I'm like, how am I going to rap about college and be authentic when I didn't even graduate high school? Like, I didn't graduate.
I met Mike Karen once very, very briefly. And I didn't like, from that experience, I didn't really get much from him. But
Yeah.
from what I've like heard and stuff, like he basically is just trying to like make the pop rap star. You know what I mean?
Sure. Mike's doing his job. The other thing too, I don't hate Mike. You know, I had a lot of things about my experience at Atlantic that disappointed me, but let's be real, it's a huge blessing.
Oh yeah.
Way more of a blessing than a curse. It made me, people took me far more seriously, the fact that I was even brought to the table, that my name's even in the ring, you know what I'm saying? That I was signed to a major. So I don't view it as like I hate their guts or I'm mad at them. There was whack stuff they did for sure.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about both sides. I'd love to know some of the whack things, if you can remember, like, oh, they hit you with this and you're like, hell no, I'm not doing
Right.
that. And then maybe something that's like, oh, this was fire. This is something cool that came of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when I got signed, I was the world was totally different too. This was 2003 or 2004. So I was like 24, 25, and I was dating this girl who was 19 at the time. So she's 19, I'm 24, right? This chick named Ava, and she's hanging out with me, and she's doing homework in my bed. We had just finished messing around, And I left the outgoing voicemail because I thought it was funny. I said, yo, what's up? It's App. I just had sex with this girl and now I'm helping her with her homework in bed, right? And keep in mind, she was 19 years old. She's like in college or something. That's the type of homework I'm talking about.
Those are the type of songs Mike Karen wanted from you, dude.
He hit me up and he goes, oh, this is great. He left a voicemail. I had it for a long time. We used to laugh about it. It sounded like Napoleon Dynamite on it. But he was like, yeah, he's like, this is great. We got to do this whole thing. So, we fly out. I fly out to L.A. with my homies Eighth Wonder and my man Vertigo. Shout out to them. And then we get there. And they blocked out Paramount Studios for me in Studio B, which is upstairs, right? So I go in there, and all on the walls, I see these homemade posters that you ever see like in movies where they'll do ransom notes and they cut up pages of magazines?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you ever want to see your daughter again, call Apathy. Or like, there was ones that were crazy. It was like, if there's grass on the field, it's clear to play. And I was like, I was furious. Like my blood's boiling, like I'm going to punch somebody. So I start walking around the studio, ripping these things off the walls. And he's like, yo, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? This is hilarious. Like, you got to do this whole thing like rock and roll style. Like you'll take their high school daughter. I'm like, are you listening to what you're saying, bro?
Yeah, it's
like,
psychopath.
You're gonna, first
dude.
of all, you're nuts. That's whack. Second of all, you're gonna get me arrested.
Yeah,
like, are you
dude.
crazy, bro? So there was a lot of things that they wanted to do. They wanted me to do song. They sent me a CD of who's that? Chuck Berry, or there's a song called My Ding-a-Ling.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm familiar with the song.
And it's about your dick, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, we got to figure out a clever way to do a song about your dick, but it's not about your dick. I'm like, no.
Damn, the treatment they were giving Apathy is crazy, dude. Because I bring it up though because I know some of your peers were also signed and they kind of got to do what they wanted.
That was the crazy part. Friends of mine, my friends Lupe, Fiasco, and Little Brother, we were signed at the same time. We were in the building at the same time, and these guys are having a great time. They're like rapping over these Ninth Wonder beats. You know what I'm saying? Joe Scudder's on there. Yeah. They're rapping.
You know, when I think of Lupe Fiasco, because one of my songs that I like from Lupe, and I know he doesn't like it, as the show goes on, but when you think about it, that's definitely a Mike Karen situate, like a very popular sample, like rapping over, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like the recipe that they got going on over there.
Well, they brought me Kick Push before that was a Lupe record.
That's insane, dude.
And I heard that beat, and then James Lopez, who was at Atlantic, told me I need to be able to, he goes, you ever ride a skateboard? And I was like, yeah, I'm back in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? And they're like, yo, you should get on a skateboard and be doing skateboarding tricks. I'm like, bro, I'm friends with real skaters. That's a poser. That's a poser shit. It's fake. It's not real. And I'm not saying Lupe, I think he skated, but I'm just saying Lupe did it in a different way than they wanted me to do it. So, but then all of a sudden they were talking to me about skateboarding. Then I hear Kick Push come out a few months later, and I'm like, wow, that's what they wanted me to do. And it was just crazy, man. It was crazy, all the records that they wanted me to do. And then, you know, it looks like, and I don't know if I don't think it was Lupe's idea. I think it was Craig Coleman's idea. But they had the Daydreaming, that record or whatever. And that's kind of the direction that Atlantic wanted a lot of people to go with. And I think the only guys who were doing anything that exactly what the fuck they wanted to do was Little Brother.
Yeah, that's, you know, as I'm listening to you, like, it just gets me curious about what were some of like the more positive things that they did, like with you, and like things that you can remember where it's like, okay, this is like, what made you want to sign with them in the first place?
Well, here's how it happened. So me and my partner Celph, we did this intro to our Demigodz EP where we paid homage to Dr. Dre, to the Chronic album. And we did this whole little skit that was kind of imitating the Dr. Dre thing. So when we did that, there was this dude, Jason, at Interscope Records who heard it and played it for Jimmy Iovine. And Jimmy Iovine listened to our whole thing and was like, these guys are dope. Fly them out here. Let's try to sign. And this is amidst the time where Eminem was popping. But it was me and Celph Titled were a group together, right? And we were a package deal. So they fly us out. Now keep in mind, bro, we're like underground door losers. You know what I'm saying? Like we're just like low. And I mean like that to say we're just low level, bro. We're just doing super underground backpack stuff. We're not like these artists who are trying to blow up like people do. We're just, you know, super street underground dudes. So we go out to LA and we'd never seen anything like this. They fly us out there. We get there. They give us an SUV. They give us company cell phones because it was 2003 at the time.
Is this the first time you're experiencing something like this?
Yes, absolutely. I've never been to the West Coast before. You know what I'm saying? So we fly out there. They put us up in the Standard on the Sunset Boulevard. They're like, yo, put whatever on the room. We're getting haircuts on the room and charging it to the room. We're eating all this food, excessive amounts of food we didn't even want. We were just wilding out, bro. We were driving all over the place with the SUV, making phone calls all over the world with their phone, all of this. So at any rate, we do this, and while we were there, we met with our rep Miles at BMI, Miles Lewis. And so we meet up with Miles, and Miles is like, yo, let me tell a couple other people you guys are here. And we're like, all right, whatever. So he tells Mike Karen from Atlantic Records, and Mike is like, I want to have a meeting with them. Let's bring them in. So we go have a meeting with Mike. We talk about things. And he's like, all right, cool, guys. Good to talk to you. Good to talk to you. So me and Celph leave there. Keep in mind, once again, we had the Interscope cell phone, which nobody had the number to. And whatever. So we leave there. We didn't have any cell phones. It was at a time we just didn't have cell phones yet. So we leave there, go eat, go do a couple things for a few hours. And I get back and I got a message from the hotel. And it was my mom. And my mom's like, hey, there's some guy from Atlantic Records who called you a couple hours ago, which was like an hour after we left his office. She's like, he wants to have a meeting with you guys and have a meeting in New York, he said. So he wants to get in touch with you guys. He goes, call him. So at any rate, while I'm there meeting with Interscope, by the way, we never met with Jimmy Iovine because he was at Eminem's Cleaning Out My Closet video and didn't get a chance to even meet with us.
That's a fair reason. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I would have been upset if I was out there, but I like, in hindsight, I'd been like, yeah, you know, I respect it.
Right, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So at any rate, so we fly back to the East Coast. We had a crazy time in LA. It was incredible.
What's something that you remember? Like one of the craziest things you did real quick?
Just all that. Just doing all that. Just driving around, being out there and just hanging out. We didn't have too much lined up at the time, too. We were just having fun and messing around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I said, getting haircuts and everything like that on their bill. And then going up into the labels. And back in the day, these labels all had huge rooms that were dedicated to having all their stuff. So we were getting free CDs. I'm getting like 5 Led Zeppelin box sets. You know what I'm saying? Like taking these things.
Yeah, it's feel good too. I've had like a meeting too. It's like, it's a good way they butter you up too sometimes. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh yeah, just take all this stuff and
take
like,
whatever you want, fill up a box.
And most people that are making music are also music lovers. So you know what I mean? It's like the perfect gift.
Right. So yeah, that was cool. That was cool just living that whole experience and just being out there and being up. Because once again, we came from being underground artists, and you got to understand the excitement that was happening at that time, because it wasn't like I was just like, yeah. Like I know a lot of people nowadays are like, I want to blow up. I want to be a pop sensation. I want to be crazy. But at that point in time, I'm thinking in my head like, yo, I'm going to make the next Illmatic. I'm going to make the next Ready to Die. I'm going to work with Premier and Pete Rock and all these different people, and I want to feature from Nas. So that's what's swirling in my head. In my head, I'm thinking I'm going to do a song with the Wu-Tang Clan, and, you know, it's going to be crazy, and I'm going to make the next hip-hop masterpiece.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize what it would actually entail, you know.
But you ended up working with Premier, and he's a good friend of yours too.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Premier became a good friend of mine, but when I worked with Premier initially, it was not based around any of the Atlantic stuff. It was based off of my underground stuff. And shout out to DJ Eclipse too, who facilitated that.
I want to talk about all that, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because to me, like, when I think Apathy, I also think like one of the founding fathers of underground hip hop, dude.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we were there. That was the underground scene was a big independent boom that happened, right? Because hip hop was underground, and you got to understand, back in the day in the 90s, Lords of the Underground, Gang Starr, all those groups, EPMD, they were considered underground at the time. That was called underground, right? They would say that, and you'd hear it on all these records. Then underground took on a different meaning when it became an independent thing, because all of us guys were watching all of our heroes on these major labels, and we're like, yo, we want to do that too. You know, the J Lives, the Non-Fictions, the Arsonists, the Punchline and Wordsworth, the Talib Kweli, and all those different artists from Mos Def and all those different artists from that era, Jedi Mind Tricks, Immortal Technique. We were just all dudes who wanted to put out records. So we were doing it by any means necessary. We're figuring out how to make these things, and that turned into the underground. That whole scene turned into the underground.
No, it's insane. Did you ever go to D&D Studios?
Yeah, but it was headquarters at that time.
Okay, when Premier took it over.
Yeah, multiple times.
I had David and Doug on the pod, so I like,
dope.
And they were telling me some stories too, but I was like wondering, but okay, so you went to headquarters to work with Premier?
Yep. When in my Stop What You're Doing video, when Premier's in all the black with the tuxedo and all that, and we're doing all that. We shot that in headquarters.
Oh, insane, dude.
Yep.
What's an experience that you have like working with Premier that you could share?
There's so many memories, man. Hanging out with Premier is the dopest, man. He's such an awesome, humble dude. And when you have conversation with Premier, the best thing that I love is it's not like one of those dudes who's just quiet and acts like he's too good. Premier knows you love hip hop, and he'll tell you a story, and you'll be there. He'll be telling you a story for 45 minutes. He's the best storyteller, and he goes into stuff. And then hanging out with Preem at headquarters was unbelievable. Like, I remember chilling with it was me, Blackistan, Eddie Sancho, who's his legendary engineer, and Preem, and he was playing us like the sample for Mass Appeal on vinyl. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll show you it later. It's dope.
And if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure Premier said you are the second pickiest engineer or second pickiest artist behind Kanye West.
Correct. And it's not just Premier who said that, actually. Mr. Walt from the Beat Miners, Mr. Walt and DJ Premier said, behind Kanye West, I'm the pickiest and craziest, like OCD level with everything.
Let's talk about that too, because I think that's something I relate to heavy, because we, you and I, like, off camera, non-pod, we talk about self-sufficiency a lot, dude.
Yep.
And I think some of this comes from a place of like wanting your stuff to be great, and like sometimes if you want it right, you just got to do it yourself.
Right. Yeah.
So, you produce everything, you engineer everything. Like, why does that happen? Like, why do you start engineering? Why do you start and are you producing before you're spitting? Like, how does this work?
Right, it's always different. The reason why or how I do a song is always different. Whether I write the lyrics first, most of the time it's from me producing something.
Yeah.
But this came out of necessity is the mother of invention.
That's my dad's #1 quote, dude.
It really is, man. So this was a time period where I was recording. It was harder to record. Less people had setups. So, and I got tired. Like, let's say if it's a Monday, right? Let's say if it's Monday and I come up with this fire idea and I have this beat and I write it and I'm feeling it and I'm spitting it and I'm like, yeah, right? And I'm like, I got to record this. So I call the engineer, and the engineer's like, all right, bro, well, I only have Thursday at 7 p.m.
Kills
available.
the momentum.
And I'm like, oh, damn, all right. So Monday comes, right? Tuesday, I have a fight with my girl. Thursday, I get pulled over, get a speeding ticket. All these different things, like Wednesday, something happens. Like, by that time, I'm like, the song's stale. It has a different feeling. It's just dead. The energy's dead. So right away, I wanted to be like, yo, I want to record. It's 2:30 in the morning. I just had a dope idea. I want to do this whole thing top to bottom.
You're trying to capture the moment it happens, dude. Because sometimes there's something to be said about that, like creating in the moment. And like, maybe you can speak to this too, but I know that I've worked on songs that like maybe takes technically weren't as good as they could have been, right, but because they were made in the moment and the vibe was there, I rocked with those over like what would be considered a perfect take.
Absolutely. There's times where I went back and re-recorded and I'm like, nah, I like the original better. Like, even though the original, I hear things I'd want to change in it, there's definitely something to be said for that, catching the lightning in the bottle. You know what I mean? That first time and that first take, that's absolutely on point.
I want to talk to you about something else too. And did you open up for Linkin Park?
Oh, yeah, many times.
Bro, this is insane, dude.
Yeah, I was tight with Mike Shinoda.
I know you guys have records together, too.
Yeah, man, I was constantly with those guys. And that's because of Ryu. It's because of my brother Ryu, who was one of my best friends, one of my groomsmen from when I was married and all of that. And I used to live with Ryu and his wife out in L.A. Ryu's like my big bro. Well, I mean, we're close enough in age where we're just like brothers, But Ryu and Styles of Beyond, shout out to Cheap Shot, Talk, and Vince Scully, they brought me in. And when they got signed to Machine Shop, Mike's label, because they were big influences on Linkin Park.
No, 1,000%, because Fort Minor and like everything even
way before that.
That's crazy.
Styles of Beyond were huge. And then Styles of Beyond's album cover, 2000 Fold, it's like this crazy looking 3D graphic, which was crazy for those days. It was like 96, 97.
Yeah.
Mike Shinoda did that, graphic arts. Mike Shinoda did the cover.
Insane.
For that.
How'd you and like Mike end up linking up?
Just from them, just from those guys.
That's crazy.
And hanging out with Mike. I did cool stuff with Atlantic, but hanging out with Mike and Linkin Park was where all the crazy shit happened. That's where way more interesting Hollywood and music industry shit happen, being with Linkin Park and Shinoda more so than even with Atlantic.
Let's talk about that, dude, because, what were some of those crazy experiences?
Oh, God, man, there's so many. First of all, I hung out with Jay-Z so many times because of Mike Shinoda, being with Shinoda. I think the first time I met Jay-Z was at the 2005
I forgot because they did the Collision course too.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is insane. An insane project. I think, not to interrupt, but that project was so good that it was hard. I know that they quoted that it was hard to do another one because they kind of set the bar so high with that one.
Right. But 2005, we went to the VMAs, the Video Music Awards of the MTV ones in Miami. And it was like nonstop craziness, man. Like just chilling with them, just so many things. And I met Hove at a show there. No, I'm sorry. I met Hove with Mike Shinoda first at the 4040 Club. And this was 2004. And it was I think it was 2000. Yeah, it was 2004. But at any rate, we met Jay-Z there. Super nice, humble guy. Met Jay-Z and Beyonce. And that was a crazy, surreal experience because he was even huge at that time, too. Like, Hove was already a megastar.
What do you talk to Jay-Z about? Like, what's that conversation look like?
We got introduced. I like making banter. Like, I really love bullshitting with people about obscure things. I like banter a lot. Like, no matter, I don't care if you're like an 87-year-old dude or some old lady and you don't think I'd have anything in common. I like talking about everything, right? So I'm talking to Jay-Z about when I was in junior high and I wrote an English paper about his verse on Original Flavors, Can I Get Open? And I talked about his alliteration and his wordplay and everything like that. And he was bugging out that, because, once again, 2004, not a lot of people are bringing that song up to him. So
yeah, like you're somebody who cares and actually is invested versus like someone who's just talking to him because he's fucking Jay-Z.
Right. And he was super, super cool. And we had a great conversation about that. He's very down to earth. And then the second time I saw him was at the VMAs, and it was just kind of a shit show of a party. And then the dopest time was the third time I saw him was this is one of my favorite memories. It was 2007. It was on the House of Blues on Sunset Boulevard, which is no longer there. And it was me and Mike Shinoda and Ryu went to go see him for American Gangster when he was on that tour. And after we watched it, we got to sit in some VIP next to, what are they called? The Pussycat Dolls.
Oh,
we
yeah.
were next to one of those, the main one, whoever the main Pussycat doll is. So we're up in there. And, here's the thing, bro. I just want to say this, too, before I even go further. All that celebrity shit is cool and it's novel and funny to me. Like, I'm like an outsider looking at it, being entertained by it. Like, oh, shit, look, it's that actor. It's not important or serious to me. Like, I'd rather go back home to Connecticut and live a good, solid, amazing life than live a life that isn't intended for me of the glamour and glitz and the phoniness, which I see a lot of phoniness in Hollywood.
I feel that 100% too, dude.
So being out there, I'd be like, oh, this is that girl who's, it was novel. It was funny to me.
Yeah.
But at any rate, we're sitting
that generation's Hawktua girl.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Is that?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, she would be the equivalent, dude.
Oh,
like back then. But yeah, my bad.
No, it's all good. So we're hanging out there, and then Jay-Z's assistant Carlene comes out and it's like, "Yo," told Shinoda, "Hey, Hov wants to see you before you guys take off." So we go back there, and I'm wearing all black at this time. I'm wearing a Raiders jacket and a Raiders hat, and I'm dressed in all black. And I'm 6'3". 245 pounds, something like that. And I think it was, I think it was either Freeway or Beanie. Shout out to Freeway too, or Beanie Siegel thought I was security for for Mike Shinoda. Insane, there was a lot of places who thought I was security, which is hilarious. I'm like, what? Dude, I'm not jumping in front of no bullets or nothing. I'm not. Nah. Anyway, so we go back there. It's Jay-Z. We're backstage with Jay-Z, Jermaine Dupri, Diddy, Freeway, and Beanie Siegel. And at that time, that's dope to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's me, Ryu, and Shinoda back there. And we're talking, BSing. And like I said, Hov is a humble guy. And I said, hey, what's up, Apathy? Because, whatever. And he's like, why do you do that? And I was like, what? He goes, why do you introduce yourself to me every time you meet me? He's like, I know who you are. And I was like, yeah, right. He's like, nah, I know who you are. You got signed and this and that, and you're from Connecticut. And I was like, and I remember Jay-Z's got the craziest memory. So even if he heard of me off cuff or whatever, he remembered it. That was ill to me. He didn't have to be like that. I didn't expect that.
No, that's the super fire, dude.
It was really crazy, and he didn't have to be like that. So it's dope. That was a little extra cool thing. But so we're there, we're hanging out, and we got invited. We got invited by them, and they're like, yo, you guys want to go have sushi? And I look at Ryu, I'm like, let's go. And we're like, yeah, let's go. Absolutely.
You're a big sushi guy?
Yeah, I love sushi.
Me too. All right, my bad.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
I didn't mean to sidetrack.
The sushi's cool, but with that cast of people.
Oh, insane, dude. Yeah. You remember what you ordered?
No, I don't know. It didn't happen. Wait, so I gotta tell you,
my
right?
bad, my bad. I'm getting ahead of myself.
By the way, I just want to say to everybody out there, this is much prior to any Diddy large level scandal.
I was gonna bring it up, but I didn't know if we should just move past it. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's funny. Ryu's texting me right now. He must have had
I felt it, dude.
Yeah, he must have had the what you call it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny, dude.
So at any rate, now the House of Blues used to open up the backstage area opens up to these weird railings that you have to go single file, and the railings wind like a little maze. Right? I don't know what the purpose of it is.
Yeah.
But so you have to exit out to Sunset Boulevard like that. So we exit out and we have to go single file. And once again, this story has a whole different connotation now with the revelations. But Diddy's right behind me.
That's something you never want to say, dog.
Absolutely.
Not in this day
and by the way,
age,
I
dude.
don't have to explain myself. Y'all know what it is and what app don't get down with. So it's nothing like that.
Let's just keep it pushing, dude.
Right. So at any rate, it's the whole line of people. Jay-Z's up front with his security, and then Carlene, and then Shinoda, Beanie, all those guys, and then Ryu, and then Diddy's right behind me. So we come out to Sunset Boulevard, and across the street is Suge Knight standing there with like 30 Bloods, bro.
Bro, that's insane, dude.
And I'm like, oh, and then at first I'm like, damn, what does this mean, right? And I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm like, what's the real? Like, what's gonna happen? And I hear Diddy behind me go, oh shit, like that. And I'm like, oh shit, what do you mean? So yo, I literally dipped up under the railings. I told Ryu, I said, yo, this isn't our fight, bro. We're out here. I'm not trying to get caught in any blaze of glory for whatever they got going on.
Yeah,
so,
just because you're there, dude.
Right. Yeah. So I'm like, yo, forget this. I've seen too many things in my lifetime, and I'm not trying to be a part of history, bro. So
no, it's good that your little voice in your head was like, all right, time to go, dude.
Yeah, I don't care about sushi and politic, and I'm trying to survive this one.
Yeah.
But nothing happened. No, I think it was just a show. It was a posturing, you know what I'm saying? It was a little show of force, but it was just Diddy saying, oh shit, and behind me, I was like, what? Let's get out of here, bro. Like,
that's the last thing you want to hear with Diddy behind you these days, dude.
Listen, last thing you want in the world is Diddy behind you these days.
We're going to keep it pushing, dude.
Let's go.
So I want to bring it back to touring with Linkin Park, right?
Yep. Okay.
So like, what's something specifically you remember from
Project Revolution?
Okay, let's talk about it, dude.
Project Revolution was just so much fun, man. We had these buses. We had multiple buses. We had, no, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Fort Minor tour was dope, and we had this really technologically fly bus with the Star Trek doors. You press a button, it's like opens up
Insane.
into the thing. You had we called our bunks that we each had bunks. We called it the womb because we didn't want to leave. It was, you had your bed in there. It was all dark, nice air conditioner blowing on you. DVD players when you needed DVD players, you know, back then and everything like that. And it was dope. We loved it. And we had a whole team that were buying us groceries all the time and everything like that, and stocking up the fridge and all this different stuff. So it was really fly and it was really dope. And then the Linkin Park tour happened later, and they gave Styles of Beyond an old 1985 Eagle bus that used to be Ozzy Osbourne's.
Insane.
And they gave us this bus driver, this old big white boomer guy from the South named Pete. And Pete was like by default racist. He wasn't even like a try hard, like
what
he
a
was
terrible
just
quality,
like just grew up thinking that certain words were appropriate to say, and it wasn't a bad thing. And we had black dudes with us on our tour, so it was like, hey buddy, you're pretty nice for a. And he didn't, not an N-bomb, but just enough. I'm not even trying to.
Yeah, no, we don't need to go there.
Right. So, but he's like, You know,
That's crazy,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
What's something that you remember from like some of the shows though? Was there like a crazy moment during like one of the performances or something that you're
just being out, stepping out in front of that many people, you know what I'm saying? But just there was so many things that happened. We would watch all these cool rock groups who were performing, like even more obscure groups like Seosin and all these different groups. But we saw My Chemical Romance, and even though that music was like pop rock, I got a really big respect level seeing how they put everything together and did everything production-wise.
Yeah, their shows productions are nuts,
Unbelievable. I had it was like a huge, bro, going on those big tours like that, there's like a massive group of people who were there just to make sure and I mean, it was like a city of people.
Just to make sure the show's running, dude.
Correct. Just you know, all the people who were there to set things up and the lighting and the audio and people to do this and do that. It was a village, bro. It was like everywhere we went was a village, and you see these people all the time because you tour and you hang out and you're at these big events and everybody's got their big buses and campers and, you know, and you go to lunch and you're eating and you see all the same people. You sit and start to meet people. It was dope on that scale. So that was cool. I know at the end of one of the shows, Linkin Park, all their guitars and their bass guitars are mad expensive, nice ones, right? And Ryu has just always been like a low-key kind of troublemaker. You know what I'm saying? Like Ryu's he's very punk rock with it. You know, he's a very loose cannon. So at the end of the last show in Denver, there was like 40, 50,000 people at this event. And they were like, yo, you guys got to come out on stage. And it's a trip to come out. Like I've done shows since where, you know, we rocking 50,000 people in Europe and all that. But it was one of the first times I stepped out in front of 40,000 people. And it's like, whoa, it almost gives you vertigo. It's crazy. It's a surreal feeling. It makes you panicky. It's bugged out, stepping out in front of 50, 40,000 people who are looking at you. So we get out there and Ryu's like, yo, I'm going to smash a guitar. Bro, these guitars are dumb. Like these guitars are like car expensive. You know, like buy a car, like a nice car. And Ryu's like, yo, I'm gonna smash a guitar. And I was like, do it. And so he says something and he grabs one of the guitars and goes to smash it. And one of the guys ran over and grabbed it from Ryu, but Ryu was about to smash it on the whole stage. But another thing I'll say too, which is dope, was I love the Linkin Park guys. They were all dope. They treated me very well, you know, and but Chester was a great dude.
That's where I was about to add. I was going to ask like some of your experiences with Chester.
Phenomenal, super nice guy, and really, really, what's the word I'm looking for? Really had our backs through everything, you know, like really, really made sure we were treated the same way as everybody else, that we weren't just a lowly, you know, opener, crap, pay your dues artist. He made sure we went to the big dinners with him and that we ate what we wanted, you know what I'm saying? Like we're getting to these big dinners and we're like, oh, we'll just have the chicken. And he's like, nah, man, come on, bro. You want the lobster? Get the lobster, get this. And I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? It was dope. It was dope how he was. And then the other thing that was amazing about him, this dude was going out every night rocking a show with his range. He sounded exactly like the records,
getting goosebumps, like just hearing it through this American flag suit.
He was unbelievable. His voice, the power and the skill that he had. And it was just crazy even here. Like I remember there was one point in time, I don't remember what city we were in, but I'll just never forget this. Me and Ryu, because, you know, after you rock and after you do everything, you're just kind of killing time.
Yeah.
So you're just chilling, walking around like this big event. It's like walking around a big carnival, you know what I'm saying? So we're walking and we're walking back. I think we had just gotten alcohol or something and we're bringing it back to our little campsite. And we hear him singing, and I can visually see what it looked like in my head over like the tents and stuff like that. And I was like, God damn, man. I was like, listen to that guy. He's unreal. And Ryu's like, yeah, he's he's surreal, bro. He's a phenom. He's just, his vocal tone was so perfect, never faltered, voice never tanked out. He was just absolutely incredible. And it was really impressive to witness back then when everything was fine, not even aggrandizing it or, you know, it was just really impressive every time.
Is there a conversation you remember having with Chester that like stands out to you?
Not really conversations. Bro, I've done so much stuff. I find that my memory is crappier. Like I try to remember the things I can, but there were so many times where we had conversations and we would BS about funny stuff and just break balls with each other, you know. But I think the thing is that time that I'm talking about in the restaurant meant a lot because he really advocated for us.
Yeah.
You know, and the team, it was their job, you know, the guys, and shout out to Jim Digby too. Jim Digby was tour manager and manager for Linkin Park, huge tour manager guy, phenomenal dude, taught us a lot, and he treated us well too. He treated us like his sons, you know what I'm saying? Like he was really dope. But the team was making sure that Linkin Park was taken care of. And Chester was just like, Chester had his wife with him. He had all these different things going on. But he's still like, hey, make sure that these guys are treated good. Are you guys good? What's going on? You know, and just popping with us, you know, just checking in with us and talking shit with us. So
yeah. Well, quick thought though. I think touring does destroy your memory, dude. Like I have toured, you know, a good amount to the point where I'm just like, it's hard to remember things because it's all like, it's just such an unnatural thing to tour. Just like your body is just like in a city every day, waking up. It's just like
different cities every day. It's really difficult unless you kept like a journal or something.
To me, it's almost
really
like the
specific.
same as like just swiping on your phone and just like taking in every piece of content because it's just like there's something happening at every second.
Right.
But dude, you know, I bring up Chester though too because the artist that I toured with, Watsky, you know, right before Chester's passing, they were in the studio together and Chester had invited Watsky on tour with him.
Dope.
And I remember there being like, it was kind of it was really sad to be honest with you because, you know, there was this moment of excitement where he like reached out, they got in the studio and, you know, Watsky was about to tour with Linkin Park and, you know, I was his camera guy. So it's like, that meant, you know, I was going to tour. And then obviously, you know, what happened with Chester, and it was like all in the course of like a week, dude. You know what I mean? It's like tough and terrible.
I still remember like right where I was. I was with my ex-wife and we had our daughter. We were out on Cape Cod. I was on vacation in Cape Cod and I was in a pool, like throwing my daughter up, and I think my ex-wife saw it. And it was just, it was surreal. It was like, damn, it just felt like it hit you in the gut. You know what I mean? Like it was a bummer. And it took me a minute to process it. And then I just felt, I guess, you know, under the circumstances, it's not like it was an accident. It's not like it was imposed upon him. But I just felt really lucky that I wasn't in that frame of mind, because I was sitting there with my ex-wife at the time, my daughter who was young, and I was just thinking about, you know, his family and his wife and his kids, and it was a crazy range of emotions, you know. Yeah,
I kind of go on to like, you know, mental health a little bit. I want to talk about that because, you know, I know you relate to this sentiment. I feel I just had this conversation with my girl, but like, I think you and I are both kind of a little bit of like tortured artists, dude, where it's like, sometimes, at least for me, and then I'm curious how you feel about this, like, you know, good isn't good enough. You know what I mean? You want to like keep leveling it up and you're just like always the next rung on the ladder, always like the want to get better. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, to me, like, and sometimes that also contributes to a lot of the time where I'm unhappy because it's like, I can't just enjoy something for what it is. I'm like, what's the next thing? What's the next great thing we're going to do? You know, is that something that you deal with? And
110%. I think everything I do is garbage. And the only time that I've ever been happy about what I've been doing is from my last album on. Like literally, this is the first time ever. And it was a huge deal for me. Connecticut Casual Chapter 2 is the first time where I've listened to an album and been like, that's it. That's what I've always wanted from the jump.
What made the difference?
Doing exactly what I wanted to do and not giving a fuck. Like not being like, yeah, I need to make a hardcore joint or I'm still just trying to find that lane. I just kind of accomplished so much shit on my bucket list from doing joints with Preem. Like the joints with Preem eat me alive because I'm just like, it's not good enough. I wish I did it better. Like it's DJ Premier. That's my biggest opportunity. And I've done 3 joints with Premier. And I'm just like, damn, I didn't do good enough, man. They're not good enough. The fans would argue with me. People argue with me. But it's a torturous thing. And people are going to hear this. And there's going to be fans of mine who are going to hear it right now. Like, oh, you're bugging, App. I love it. But I love it. But you got to understand, you got to take yourself out of your own shoes for a minute and understand how crazy it is or how much I get like a self-loathing for fucking up something and fumbling something, no matter what other people think.
I relate to that super. And, you know, as I'm talking with you, I wonder because, you know, I've had experiences not on the scale that you have, but like, you know, I've seen what the big tours look like. I see what these grandest, I see what things could be. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I wonder if part of that for us is like, because we've gotten like, at least both respectively, have gotten tastes of like, you know, the next level. You know what I mean? So it's
the
like
real next level.
Does that fuck with your mental because you know what the next step looks like? And it's like, is that what you're achieving? Like, what is the next goal? What is the end goal?
It used to, but I quickly realized I want no parts of that dream. Like people say, I wish your music was bigger. I wish you were big as Drake and Lil Wayne. I don't want that, bro. You couldn't pay me enough for that. You gotta understand, I have anxiety and I have panic disorder. I don't like flying a lot. I don't like traveling a lot.
That's all
I don't like being under a crazy schedule. I don't like a billion people looking at me. Here's a fact, so fans can even do the knowledge on this. I barely do videos. I don't like doing videos. I get imposter syndrome about what I make. I'm a true tortured artist. Like, I get fucked up over things I make. That's why sometimes I get fucked up and overthink my content. I'm like, who the fuck am I, man? Nobody wants to hear what the fuck I gotta say. There's times where I get that. There's times where I would do tours and do shows, and I felt ridiculous that humans saved or used their hard-earned money that they worked for to come watch me stand on a stage fucking rap at them. That used to fuck with my head on like a really like breaking it down like on a philosophical level. I'm like, what the fuck is this? These people, and I felt ridiculous. And I had to just zone out and disassociate to even get through my set because I just thought it was so dumb. I felt stupid up there.
I've kind of felt it's like almost like a feeling of like guilt sometimes. You know what I mean?
But it's also a balance because here's the thing: the cocky rapper, the cocky MC thing kicks into. I'm like, I'm the greatest. I murder it, and all this, and that's a sense. But the underlying foundation is, come on, man. Like,
I feel that. No, even just talking to you now, like I feel it too. Where it's like. Because the thing is, you like need the cocky rapper, like, because that's what the people love, dude. That's what like the thing. That's like what got you where you're at right now. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like it's tricky though too, and it's like it's such a hard like I can't even imagine like balance. With my own things I balance it, but it's just like to be up on stage and like feeling like any type of like dang. But your fans definitely don't feel like that, dude. They're like you know what I mean? They're like yo. I fucking love these songs and he's playing everything I love right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, but it is weird. But the reason why this is important to me, it's like, it just kind of goes back to, you never know what someone's going through. And it's like, people could have been like, yo, that was the best app set of his like everything I've ever, they could even be the best day of their life, dude.
Right.
And for you to have like the mentality on stage of just like, I'm not really feeling it today.
Well, there's a lot of things people don't know and things that I've never talked about. Like this is the first time I'm ever talking about this ever publicly.
Well, I appreciate you sharing it, dude.
No problem. But there's things that people don't know too. Like because of my anxiety and my panic disorder, my thing that I do is I over pay attention to my body and sensations. Like people are gonna watch this and see me fidgeting with my nose and doing this, and then it's like, oh, but now your head itches and this, and now your leg itches, and oh, you gotta move this. It's constant chaos, and this has been since I was little. I've always been fidgety. Like you can't sit still. I remember like sitting next to people at the movies or something. They'd be annoyed because I'm always just moving, and I gotta fight not to do it. So with that being said, there's a million times on stage where people wouldn't know it, but I'm almost damn near dying. I'm like up there and I'm like, am I running out of breath? Am I gonna fucking pass out? And it's just all psychological shit. It's all mental shit.
And a lot of that like gets enhanced because you're a public personality. You know what I mean? So it's like there's kind of like this expectation where it's like, oh, App is the fucking man. He's gotta always like be on point. And like that also leads to like the pressure being on you. It's like, oh shit, I kinda always have to be on point. Like because even for me, you won't catch me outside dressing like a bum nearly as much. Like you might catch me every once in a while, but like I make a conscious effort to look better just because I don't want someone to fucking catch me lacking, even if it's on some dumb shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, what's crazy is I think it's because of my age and I'm at a different point and I have kids where I don't give a fuck anymore.
But you're still a frat, dude. You got the peanuts matching on the Apple Watch and the shirt, dude. Like,
yeah, but still, there's times like yesterday I got recognized by some guys and they showed me love. It was funny because I have my kids with me too. And they're like, yo, do you know who your dad is? And they're like, yes, we hear it all the time. People say, and then I said it because they were funny. It was here in New London. And they're like, yo, your dad's a legend. And they're saying all these things, right? And my kids are just like this, looking at them. And they're like, yo, do you get this? And I said, not to flex, but guys, how many times does this happen? My 6-year-old, 9-year-old, like all the time. So it's a funny thing, but my point is saying all that is these guys caught me when we had just come out of hiking. So I got my extra tough boots on.
We talked on the phone when you were hiking too.
Yeah.
You were about to go on the hike. That's mad funny, dude. So it was right after that.
Right after that, I stopped to get them pizza. And, and I looked like a camper, like a wilderness man, so I feel like I've gotten to a point where I don't care anymore. And that's a nice feeling too. That's a liberating feeling because I used to.
That's freedom, dog, to be honest with you.
Before I used to go to Walmart and I used to get the freshest J. Crew on and the boots and all this stuff and have layers and everything like that. Cause I'm like, yo, somebody's gonna see me and they'll recognize me and take a picture with me. And I'm like, now I just don't give a fuck, man. I don't care, in the slightest.
No, that's good. Let's quickly, I would like to talk about being a dad too. Cause I think that's a huge part of your life, obviously. And maybe it doesn't get talked about a lot. You know what I mean? So, how's it like being a dad, dude?
It's the absolute greatest thing. And it's also a very stressful thing too, because I feel like from what people tell me and what people make me feel, I feel like I'm a really good dad, right? I'm divorced and we have the kids different times. I got the kids 4 days a week. And it's just because of work schedules, nothing else, So I got the kids 4 days a week and I love being around them. They make me happy, so happy. But then there's also a million things that trigger me, as a parent and the parenting that I received and the things that I grew up observing from two teenage kids who were trying to raise me, who didn't have, any frame of reference prior to me. So I got a lot of bad habits of having a short temper, cursing and saying things. But the dope thing that I do with my children is I apologize to them for doing bad. I validate their feelings. I hate to be all buzzwordy about it, but I do, man. I think it's important. I let them know that I'm sorry and I care about what their feelings are and I listen to them. And I didn't have that. Are you kidding me? It's like, oh, you're upset about something? Get fucked. Get over it. Go fuck yourself. That's essentially what I received. But with my kids, I have conversations with them and I teach them certain things. I'll yell and say a bad word and all that. And then, I don't want to overly pussify my kids either. I don't want them to be so oh yeah, I don't want to hurt you.
No, you don't want them to be so sheltered. I get that, dude.
Not at all. But I'm also not going to be one of those parents who when I grew up, I got ass whooping, so my kid gets an ass whooping, and it's all. I don't want to hit my kids.
No, and I think there's a good blend in the middle too. You know what I mean? Where it's
the middle is where it's at.
Yeah. I come from an Italian household. I'm very familiar with the wooden spoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's but there were probably moments where I was probably could have used that wooden spoon. You know what I mean? It's but I want to bring it to. I'm going to start pulling to the end zone, but I kind of want to hit through some experiences of artists that you've worked with. Which I trust me, I know there's endless. I got a couple I was going to ask, but if maybe there's one that pops to your mind, I'll ask you that. What is one of the coolest artist experiences that you've had?
Being friends with, and I'm not saying there's a difference, man. There's a phoniness in the industry that happens where somebody and your acquaintances. I'll be very real about who I'm acquaintances with or where they're at. But genuinely bonding with guys who are my OGs and who are my absolute heroes, who I worship like gods, and they became my friends. Pharoah Monch, DJ Premier, Exhibit, Be Real, OC. These guys are like my brothers now. These
it's
guys,
an insane lineup, dude.
Pete Rock, all
Would be
these
one
guys.
of the craziest shows of all time.
Bonkers. And these guys are guys who I can call up for advice. We talk about life. We talk about comic books and action figures. We talk, message each other all the time. I mean, who would have ever thought, Pharoah Monch, when I grew up, was the all-time highest honor you could give somebody. If I had a top 10, he's 1 through 4, before I even get to the next MC. Pharoah Monch is my absolute, it's like a basketball fan being down with Jordan or Kobe or LeBron. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that level. And so now that he's my friend and we talk all the time and I worked with him multiple times and I produced for him, my daughter's voice is on his upcoming album and I produce records for him. He's been on my records and we talk all the time. He'll hit me up about action figures or we'll talk about health. And that's the dopest thing to me. I love the music that I make with all these guys, and I have so many cool artist stories and so many, the times I did stuff with Preem and times I linked with Pete and we went through beats and all that. It's incredible. And it's surreal. And I love that those guys have made me feel like I deserve to sit at the table with them too. Because for a long time I just felt like an outsider. And it was actually OC who really made me own that and give myself a little more self-respect that I deserve. Because O used to get mad at me and yell at me that I'm not just some sucker who's watching from the outside. I'm with them, that they got love for me like that. And they put me in that vein.
And it's important too, dude, because it's like, they're like, and I kind of feel what you're saying too, because I've had instances where I felt like the outsider, but you know, when in music, you'd be surprised that like people are so cool and it's like, they just want you to be a part of it and like feel, you know what I mean? So It just makes the vibe great. So just you saying it just makes me happy to hear. And like, I've only thought good things of these dudes ever. So like, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But you know, I'll ask you about like some specific things, you know, like what was like working with Cypress Hill like?
Cypress Hill, the dopest, man. Well, actually, here's an interesting thing. When I was signed with Atlantic, I met Be Real. And I thought he was a jerk at first because he was having like a whatever night. He didn't want to talk to me. He's a human being. So my interpretation, though, it's first meeting, and I see him at this club in LA. I'm like, yo, Be Real, what's up, man? I just got signed to Atlantic. He's like, yeah, all right, cool, dope. And he might have, been too high. He might have had some personal thing that was going on, or he just didn't want to fucking hear it at the time, right? Everybody's out there in LA saying that they're doing something. And then years later, I got connected with B through my homie Chris Barnett, and he linked us up, and we started working. I started producing for Cypress, and I started sending Be Real beats, and then Be Real started bigging me up, and we started talking, and then we worked. We did a joint called Shoot First over a Mike Shinoda beat. And I produced for them a joint for them called Dead Man's Gun, which you can find on YouTube. It was supposed to be for one of their albums, Rise Up. And then I produced another joint where I sampled Snap, I Got the Power, but I chopped it up real crazy and did this real dope remix, but we couldn't clear the sample. They tried to clear the sample and the Snap wouldn't clear the sample. But working with them, like being out there at B's studio, chilling out in LA with him, he's the fucking nicest guy ever, man. I love that dude. He's such a genuinely good person, like genuinely good dude. And I love talking to him. I was just talking to him the other day about my new little weed adventure I'm getting on. He also, shout out to Be Real too, because Be Real introduced me to Call of Duty.
That's insane. That's an insane introduction, dude.
I was with him in Exhibit, and shout out to, rest in peace to Jay Turner, who's an engineer, dope DJ, great guy. Rest in peace, Jay Turner. I was out there with them, and I was with Exhibit and Be Real and Jay Turner, and we were at the studio. I think Ryu was there too. We were at the studio, and Be Real's like, yo, you ever play this game? It's 2009. It was Modern Warfare. It was Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
And he's like, you ever play this game? And I'm like, nah, I don't play video games since the 80s. He's like, try this. And I'm like, I'm not a video game guy. And he's like, yo, just try it. And I'm sat in there playing it, and I'm like, damn, this is dope. And like that, bro, I've been addicted, and I've been a Call of Duty lunatic ever since that day in 2009.
That's insane. I would have never guessed that was the introduction to Call of Duty, dude.
Be Real from Cypress Hill put me on to Call of Duty 100%.
Yeah, and you're also cool at Living Legends?
I know Murs, yeah. I know that's really it. Murs is cool. I'm acquaintances with him. I don't know him super well. I like him a lot.
There's a video clip of me because Watsky was opening up for them at Red Rocks.
Yep.
What people know is there's a video of me busting ass running up the stairs at Red Rocks. I totally eat it.
Yeah.
What they don't know is that I'm racing Living Legends in that video, dude.
Yo, why are you racing them?
So here's what happened. We're all like sitting on the Red Rocks stage, and they look at each other and they're like, yo, do you want to race to the top to each other? And they start going. And then I look, and there was just a thing where I'm pretty fast. I'm a fast runner. You wouldn't get it by looking at me, but
that's like a Napoleon Dynamite thing to say. I'm pretty fast.
I am pretty fast, dude. Like, it's unexpectedly fast.
Do you got sneakers that make you faster?
No, dude, I got Viking calves, dude. I played soccer.
Oh, okay.
So like, I'm a fast dude. It's a random fact.
By the way, you should put Viking calves in your bio.
Damn.
Yeah.
So they start running, and then I like go to catch up with them. So I catch up, and now I am beating them at this point. I am ahead of Living Legends. They got a head start. I'm feeling great. Yeah. All of a sudden, dude, I take a spill. I'm getting cheered on by my squad. There's a video of this. They're like, oh, dude, I got a pretty bruise, dude. Like, those stairs are hard, dude. And also, the altitude there is different. So it's like, I'm a Connecticut boy. I'm a shore boy. Right, you know what I mean? It's like fucking like, So I'm out of breath and I'm just there. The ultimate thing, what would have made me a living legend is if I got back up and then hopped back in the race and won. That would have been the thing to do.
Yeah.
That's not what I did. I drooped down the stairs. But no, I just had to throw that in there. Because
altitude, by the way, altitude on touring was when I get altitude sickness really easy. Like
it's
Albuquerque, like being in Albuquerque, I need like a day and a half there just to acclimate, or else I can't even rock. I'm like not breathing on stage, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like
it's such a real thing, dude.
Yeah.
That's kind of just goes back to the whirlwind I was talking about of like tour just being like, just things that you wouldn't expect.
We are
it's like,
at sea level here. The ocean is literally right out my window.
I like it.
We're right
I've
here.
gone like a couple like foghorns and stuff, even as we've done this.
Trains,
like, in the back. It's cool.
Shoreline trains.
Yeah, and you were saying there was like submarines coming in before. That's so sick. I think I've seen a submarine once or twice, but like
that's Electric Boat. That's one of the biggest manufacturers of nuclear submarines in the world.
That's
right
crazy,
out my window.
Dude. That's crazy. I'm gonna pull this to the end zone though, because there's a couple things. Well, on the topic of Connecticut, let's talk about the homie Chris Webby. You know what I mean? Because you gave him a massive cosign. Right. And I want to talk to you guys talk to you just about your relationship with him. Because at this point, he's like a big brother to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So how did you guys end up connecting, and what did that look like?
Here's an interesting thing. I don't even think he knows this, and this will be funny because him and I are so close now. He's like family to me. I'll kill somebody for Webby. I love him. When I didn't like what he was doing at first, and I'll tell you why. My partner Celph, best friend and partner, and this is a long time ago, but it was like 20 years ago. I don't know how long it was ago, but it was at a time where Webb wasn't even really known yet. And Webb, this was at a time where there's a lot of still hostility and competition, right? So Webb was doing these like weird chat room things. And Celph calls me one day. Celph lives in Florida, but he's my best friend and business partner in rhyme. Celph calls me one day and he's like, yo, there's this white kid rapper in Connecticut. You got to see this. And he sends me a link to Webby, like alone in some chat room, talking to like bots who are like, yo, I love your song. It's fire. Thank you from Russia. And he's like, oh, thank you. And I'm like, this motherfucker knows goddamn well. Those are like, but Webb was doing whatever he was doing. He's like faking it till he made it, right? And he did it. But at first I was like, this kid is a sucker, man. I was like, I'm going to see this kid. I'm going to school him. I'm going to tell him this is whack that he's doing this. And then I started to hear his raps and I'm like, okay, all right, And then I met him and he's like the nicest fucking kid ever. And he started giving me props because I was trying to be, I was being difficult about it at first. I'm like, this kid's got to prove himself. Our generation is very different, man. It was about a lot of OGs making you pay your fucking dues and you don't just come in and everybody goes, hey, glad you're here, big open arms. People like cross arms like, yo, let me see.
It's earned, dude.
Yeah, you gotta, and not only earn, but like you got the little sucker brother treatment. That's how it was. That's how we all had to go through it. And that's how I was being about Webby. And then I just couldn't help but liking him. And then the more I heard him, I was like, this kid is really fucking serious about his love for this shit and his craft. And he wants so badly to be respected that he's trying as hard as I could. Like when I was trying as hard as I possibly could to be respected and carry on that love and tradition. And that's what he did, man. And he never faltered being really serious about it,
Yeah, random fun fact. The day that I met Webby was the first time I ever saw you, dude. Because at the Yukon show. There was like a Yukon outdoor.
Ski. Yeah, it was
Ski, dude. Yeah, he was playing the Devil's Lasso for the freestyle or whatever.
Yeah. That was a big deal for me too because I had never met Ski and Tone at that point.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I was a big Original Flavor fan, really big.
I was a child then. I was like the idea of Mike Squires I was just like.
How old were you then?
I wasn't going to say it, but I must have been like 15, 16.
Okay, so perfect. Because when I was obsessing over Original Flavor and had their tapes, I was 14.
Yeah.
So it's like a full circle thing. Because me meeting those guys is wild. I was like, damn, Ski, what up, bro?
Yeah, that was crazy though. But that's the day I met Webb. But then I saw you for the first time. And then that's when I like really tapped in. I was just like, yo, and then.
That was a long time ago, bro.
Oh, it was so long ago, dude.
But it was crazy is Webb was so young and there was so many young people. It's one of the first times where I'm like, I'm not the young guy anymore. I know
that feeling as of recently too. Yeah.
Here's the thing that makes me really upset about ageism in hip hop. It is a badge of honor to be here this long, especially
1000%,
after you see people die and you see people pass and who don't get to be to that level. It is a dope thing to be old and to be an OG. And we treated our OGs differently. You know what I'm saying? Like our OGs are heralded to us. Like we hold them up in reverence and honor them. And I'm not saying all young people do that at all, because there's a lot of people who show respect and are really dope. But there's also a lot of people who are just like weird, like, oh, you an old head. Okay, that's fire, and so are you gonna be. You know what I'm saying?
It's part of the process, dude, you know?
Yeah, hopefully you get a turn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, it's like, it is a process. But there is like a thing with like age and music too, and just like, you know.
In hip-hop,
hip hop too, yeah. It's like.
Because you don't see rock and roll heads being like, oh, Ozzy Osbourne and Rolling Stones, y'all are old heads. Like they hold those guys up as rock gods. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's true, dude. It is like a weird thing too, and like, you know, they always try like, and it kind of goes back to the labels, dude. They're always pushing the new young kid. You know what I mean? That's what they're creating. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, check out this 17-year-old rapper who's like the next big thing.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm gonna pull this to the end, dude.
Yep.
What's some of the best advice that you've ever gotten?
That I've ever received?
Received, yeah.
It's interesting. I feel like I've gotten a lot. And I'm one of those people who I'm not good at pulling those things out unless I have a specific story attached to it. But you know what's interesting, and I'm finding this now. My father always used to say, my father passed in 2012, but I was very close with him. He's a very wise, smart dude in his later years. But he told me, watch out for bumper sticker logic. And at first, he said it a lot when I was younger. And I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that means, bro. You know, like, especially when you're young and you got chip on your shoulder and you're like eye rolls, like, oh, because somebody would say something, somebody would do something, and he'd be like, watch out for bumper sticker logic. And I'm going to tell you what that means, right? So now that I'm older and now we're in the world that we're in, it's mind-blowing. Like, he set up that little Easter egg for me, and now I see it, and now I'm understanding it, and now it has come to full bloom. He was talking about on cars, on all these bumper stickers would have these half-ass philosophies and ideas where people try to say something to sound deep or adhere to a certain ideology, and there's nothing deep about them. You know, and it's unbelievable that what my dad was predicting from what he broke down was like meme culture. And you see meme culture in all different forms. There's some that are hilarious and funny, which I live for. I love hilarious memes. But then there's a lot of people who will be like, they're like putting all over their pages all this like weird fake deep advice and all these like really shallow, stupid things that have the illusion of being deep. And I always think avoiding that bumper sticker logic is a great thing, because it's basically saying, like, don't follow all this disingenuous, shallow shit. You know, be true to who you are in your own shit, and just observe things and keep it in. You don't have to run to Facebook because you're having an emo moment and you want to post something about rising up, or, you know, all the people who are haters around you. You know what I mean? So that was a dope piece of advice. I'm trying to think of some other good advice.
That is great advice, though. You know what I mean? And that's like a unique one that I haven't heard someone bring up on the podcast. And I'm like 70 episodes into this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, no, I think that's a great one, too. And it like just gets the people thinking, too. And like, you know, get a little bit past the surface level of things.
It's ill to me how that has come far more to fruition in these times and days than even during that time period where he said it.
Yeah,
you know?
Everyone's always had an opinion, but now everyone, especially with the internet, everyone has an opinion with a megaphone, dude.
It's unbelievable. In that genre of what I'm talking about too, that fake, deep, introspective, philosophical advice, or these little quick things, they seem like sassy, you know what I'm saying? It's just like so cringy, man. It's wild, absolutely wild. And I try to avoid all that as much as I possibly can.
Apathy, if there was a message that you wanted to get out to the world, one thing that you'd be remembered for, what would it be?
I would say focus on being more genuine and honest. And I mean that. I know that may sound simple, but like I talk about my mental health nowadays. I talk about things that are vulnerable to me, and I think that matters the most. And I'm focused on, love and trying to be a better person, because it's all we have. All these other things are just distractions, and they're all surface level. All the likes and the materialistic stuff and the name brand clothing and the cars and the money and the pursuit of money and the pursuit of large houses. It's all bullshit at the end of the day. I remember when my dad was on his deathbed, the most important thing was that I was holding his hand, and it's like, you got to think about what this life means and the interaction that we have to other people. We're a big beehive. We're a big colony. And I try to set by example. I'm talking more about mental health. I'm talking more about being a better person, about owning the things that I did that are shitty. And I think that's what I want to be remembered for, is doing better, just to try to be better. And I'm never going to be at the point where I think I've done it perfectly. It's always going to be a work in progress.
App, I really appreciate you opening up with me on this podcast today too, and just
thank you for having
keeping
me.
It real, dude. Yeah. The question I always ask, if people want to find you and connect with you, how can they?
Instagram at Apathy, APATHY, and then my YouTube is Apathy TV, just APATHY TV, and those are the best methods right there.
Yeah, my guy. Like, I feel like you're somebody too who I have even more questions. You know what I mean? We could do a round 2 later on, dude.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, for sure.
I just want to bring this one to the end zone, and yeah.
Yeah, much love, man.
My
Thanks
guy,
so
thank
much.
you for coming on,
My
dude.
brother.
Let's go.
Connecticut, let's go.